So welcome again to this live webinar about the 14th call launched in the framework of the JPIAMR, and that is entitled Disrupting Drug Resistance Using Innovative Design, also called JPIAMR. I am Séverine Olivier. I am working at the French National Research Agency that is responsible of the Joint Call Secretariat for this year. And I am part of the Call Secretariat with my two colleagues, Sophie Gay and Ingrid Pfeiffer. During this webinar, I will present you useful information and the key points to apply to this call. So first, I will present you the topics of the call, then the rules to compose a consortium, the submission platform for the proposals, and then the next steps following the submission of the proposals. And in particular, I will present you the evaluation process of your proposals. So first, the global aim of this call is to improve the treatment of bacterial and fungal infection and or the prevention of the emergence, spread of resistance in humans, animals, or plants through the improvement of the efficacy, specificity, delivery, combinations, and or repurposing of drugs and plant protection agents. So the proposals should focus on licensed antimicrobial agents or agents under preclinical or early clinical development, and should address at least one of the following topics that are first, the improvement of drug or plant protection agent efficacy and or specificity through chemical modifications, drug or plant protection agent repurposing, the optimization of drug or plant protection agent combinations alone or with adjunct therapies, design and implementation of new strategies for improved application, efficacy, and delivery of single or combinations of antimicrobials, and design and implementation of innovative tools, including novel chemistry and or new materials for improved application, efficacy, and delivery of antimicrobials. To sum up, this call supports the development of new protocols and innovative approaches in order to improve the use of already existing antimicrobials. And in particular, it is really important to note that the proposals should focus on already existing antimicrobials. So for example, a project on antimicrobials that are not licensed or under preclinical or clinical development will not be eligible. Then this call covers bacterial and fungal infections. Thus, studies on antibiotics and antifungals are allowed. And please note that antiviral and antiparasitic agents are not in the scope of this call. And finally, the studies can be carried out in one or more of the 1L settings, meaning in humans, animals, or plants. In addition of the previous listed points, the proposals can also include the development of new mathematical models, optimization of antimicrobial combinations and or conditions for clinical agricultural use, or treatment protocols based on combination therapy, personalized medicine, and pharmacokinetics, pharmacodynamics. And the studies may also include companion diagnostics in the optimization of treatment strategies. The new delivery strategies should also minimize the impact to commensal organisms and or the environment. Since this call is on therapeutics, companies are of course highly welcome to participate in this call, but please note that the eligibility for funding of companies should be checked with the funding organizations. And then the topics that are out of scope are, as I said before, antiviral and antiparasitic agents, the discovery and or screening of new compounds, new vaccines and or new targets, and the proposals solely aiming to develop new diagnostics or new companion diagnostics. As previously mentioned, this call covers the 3 One Health settings that are human health, animal health, including wildlife, livestock, fishes, and companion animals, and also plants, including trees and crops. And so your proposals can be focused on one or more of the One Health settings. And finally, the type of studies and experimental approaches that are allowed in the framework of this call are in silico, in vitro, and in vivo studies, preclinical and clinical studies in human and in veterinary settings, and also the studies in crop and plant settings, including the field studies. To finish with this first part, 2 important points of attention. The first one is that the eligibility of the considered One Health setting and experimental approach may depend on your funding organization. So, for example, some funding organizations can only fund human health, and others, for example, cannot fund clinical studies. So it is really important to check these aspects with your funding organization. Then, the adequacy of your proposal with the topic of the call and the scientific relevance of your proposal will be assessed by the evaluation committee that is composed of international recognized experts. And so this evaluation criteria will be assessed after the submission of your proposal. And so it is really important to note that neither your national funding organization nor the call secretariat can give you advice on this particular aspect. Now we are going to talk about the composition of a consortium. So consortium should be composed of a minimum of 3 funded partners coming from 3 participating countries with at least 2 European countries or 2 associated European countries. In the framework of this call, the European participating countries are Belgium, Czech Republic, Denmark, Estonia, France, Germany, Hungary, Italy, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, Spain, and Sweden. And the European associated countries for this call are Israel, Moldova, Switzerland, and the United Kingdom. The other participating countries for this call are Canada and the low and middle income located in sub-Saharan Africa. So for these LMICs, there is a specific funding organization called Sida that can fund the partners from these countries. And so I will present you later this funding organization. For information, a partner who is not coming from a participating country can still join a consortium, but as a non-funded partner. And so it means that this partner will have to bring its own funding. And please note also that the non-funded partners cannot be a coordinator of a project. And the total budget of non-funded partners should not exceed 30% of the total requested budget for a project. The maximum number of partners within a consortium is 6, including non-funded partners, and it can be increased to 7 only if your consortium includes a partner from an underrepresented country, namely from Lithuania or Poland, or for low and middle income countries that are funded by Sida. Your consortium can also be increased to 7 if your consortium includes a partner from a company. Here are some examples of consortium in order to better understand the eligibility rules. So in the first case, we have a consortium with 3 partners from France, Italy, and Belgium. In this case, we have 3 partners asking for funding, and we have 3 European countries. So in this case, the consortium is eligible. In the second case, if we remove Belgium and add, for example, Burkina Faso, we still have 3 partners asking for funding with 2 countries from European countries. So in this case, the consortium is again eligible. But however, if we remove Italy and add Canada, in this case, even if we have 3 partners asking for funding, there is only 1 European country. And so in this case, the consortium is not eligible. But if we add again Italy, we have 4 partners, 2 partners coming from European countries. And so here the consortium is eligible. Then we have other examples with non-funded partners that are indicated in red on the slide. First, we have again a consortium with partner from France, Italy, and Belgium. But in this case, the partner from France is not requesting funding. So as we only have 2 partners asking for funding, this consortium is not eligible. If we have, if we add an additional partner in this consortium, for example, Burkina Faso, then we have 3 partners asking for funding, so the consortium is eligible. In the next example, we have 7 partners from France, Italy, Belgium, Burkina Faso, Spain, Germany, and Canada. Even if we have 7 partners, in this case, we have a partner coming from Burkina Faso, which is a low and middle income country. So in this case, the consortium can be increased to 7 partners and the consortium is perfectly eligible. But if we have 7 partners from France, Italy, Belgium, Denmark, Spain, Canada, and Germany, here we have 7 partners. There is no partner coming from an underrepresented country. And if there is no company in this consortium, the consortium is ineligible. And if we remove 1 country in this consortium, for example, Germany, then we have 6 partners and this consortium is eligible. So in addition of the general eligibility rules, we also strongly recommend that each partner of a consortium check its national eligibility with its funding organization. If you have any question about the eligibility of your consortium, you can contact, of course, the call secretariat that is handled by ANR. So we are 3 with my colleagues Sophie Gay and Ingrid Pfeiffer. And if you have any question, you can email us with our generic email address. That is JPI-AMR calls@agencerecherche.fr. And we will also monitor the evaluation process. And during the application procedure, we'll be in contact with the project coordinators. And then, as I was saying before, you can also contact your own funding organization to check your national eligibility. And so all funding institution contact points are indicated in the Annex A of the call text, and the national rules and requirements are indicated in the Annex B of the call text. Here is an extract of the Annex A. So as you can see, for each funding organization, you have the email and the phone numbers of the contact persons. And then you have here an example of a national annex from the Annex B. So again, we strongly recommend you to check your eligibility with your funding organization, since the ineligibility of the partners within the consortium can lead to the ineligibility of the entire consortium. And in this case, the proposal will not be evaluated by the scientific committee. In order to help you to build your consortium, you can use our partner search tool. So indeed, if you are interested in participating in our call, you can look for a consortium to join thanks to this tool. And on the contrary, if you already have a consortium and that you are looking for a specific expertise, you can also look for a partner thanks to this tool. And my colleague Jolanta Paloska will present you this tool in details in the next presentation. To finish with this part, a last point about the partners for which the research institution is not in a country directly participating in this call. There are two possibilities. If your country is not an LMIC funded by Sida, as I mentioned before, you can participate in this call, but as a non-funded partner, meaning that you cannot request funding with this call. You have to bring your own funding, and you will have also to explain how your own funding will be secured in the budget tables. And so, for example, your lab has already received a grant to conduct a specific kind of research, or you have or your permanent staff is already working on the project. And as I said before, it is important to note that in this case, you cannot be a project coordinator. The other possibility is that your country is a LMIC funding by Sida. So as I said before, it is a specific funding organization that is able to fund partners from LMICs in sub-Saharan Africa. And so in this case, you can, of course, participate in this call and be funded by Sida. But again, you have to check your eligibility for funding with Sida. And so I'm gonna detail you a little bit more this funding organization. So Sida, for Swedish International Development Cooperation Agency, supports the participation of researchers from sub-Saharan Africa in transnational research teams. The eligibility rules for this funding organization are researchers from least developed countries in sub-Saharan Africa and other sub-Saharan African countries where Sweden has bilateral development cooperation. The applicants should be employed by domestic universities or other research institutions, including non-profit and international organizations in the specified countries. Researchers from profit-making organizations are not eligible for Sida funding, and researchers may only be listed as a project coordinator or research partner on one project application. The eligible 1L settings include human, animal, and environmental health. And finally, all experimental approaches are allowed. Regarding the funds, the maximum budget per Sida partner is 250,000 euros that can be increased to 350,000 euros if the Sida partner is the coordinator of a proposal. And there is a maximum of 2 partners eligible for Sida funding may request funding from Sida within a consortium. Now I will present you the submission platform. So your application for this call will have to be done on the electronic submission platform that is called PT Outline. Please note that an application sent by email will not be accepted. So here on this slide, you have the link to access the submission platform. You can also find this link on the call text and the JPIAMR call webpage. So of course, the first step is to sign up by registering your email address. Once you are connected, you will have to enter several details. So first, the general information about the project, information about the project coordinator, and information about the project partner. Note that you will also have to enter information about non-funded partners in this platform. And there is only one account per proposal. And in general, it is the coordinator who enters all these details. Then in the section data upload, you will have to upload your proposal. This document will have to be prepared by using the template, the provided template that you can download directly on the submission platform or on the JPIAMR call webpage. This template that has, so you, on this section, you upload the template. Then the last step is, of course, to verify your proposal and to submit it. So it is really important to note that the submission is definitive. So before submitting, be sure that all the details have been correctly entered in the platform and that your complete proposal has been correctly submitted. The deadline for the submission of the pre-proposals is set on March the 8th. And so to avoid any technical issues, it is really important to prepare your submission at least one day before the call closure. And of course, no proposal will be accepted after the deadline. If you have any question, again, about the submission, please do not hesitate to contact us. As you can see on the submission platform, you have, again, the contact of the call secretariat. So email us if you have any question. To finish with this presentation, I will present you the next steps following the submission of the pre-proposals. So here is the overall timing of the call. So as I said before, the deadline for the submission of the pre-proposals is set on March the 8th. Then on the 24th of May, the call secretariat will contact the project coordinators and give them the results. So in case the pre-proposals have been selected for the next step, the coordinators will receive the invitation to submit the full proposal. And then the second deadline to have in mind is the deadline for the submission of the full proposals that is set on July the 5th. Then on the 29th of September, the final funding decision will be taken by the participating funding organizations. That will be followed by an ethical evaluation of the selected proposals in October. And then in November, the final funding decision will be announced to the applicants. So at both pre and full proposal stage, your proposals will be evaluated by a scientific committee that is composed of international experts. And so they will evaluate your proposals according to three main criteria that are excellence, impact, and the quality of efficiency of the implementations. So for each proposal, you will have 3 independent reviewers, and a final report will be sent to the applicant at each evaluation stage. So it is a summary of the remote evaluation and the panel discussion. And so now I'm going to detail you each of these criteria. first, regarding the excellence criteria, the reviewers will evaluate if the proposal fits to the scope of the call and if the objectives are clear and relevant. They will evaluate the approach and the methodology, the soundness and research base of the concept, the novelty, the timeliness, and finally, the excellence of the consortium. Then, regarding the impact criteria, the reviewers will evaluate the impact of the proposal to improve the treatment of bacterial and fungal infections, and in particular, a justification of the choice of the pathogen is requested. The potential of the expected results for clinical, public health, and animal health, agriculture, or environmental benefits. The potential for fostering a longer-term international network of researchers. The potential reach of the project results, including dissemination and communication measures. And finally, the appropriateness of end users and stakeholder participation. Then the third criteria is the quality and efficiency of the implementation. So the reviewers will evaluate the coherence and effectiveness of the work plan, including appropriateness of the allocation of tasks within the given time frame, the adequate distribution of the tasks between the partners, the strength of the transnational collaboration, social and gender equity, cultural sensitivity, and economic viability. And then for full proposals, they will also evaluate the quality of the proposed open science practices, data management, intellectual property management, the appropriateness of the management and governance structures, potential exploitation, and the relevance of the outcomes of the findings. So this is for the long-term strategy. The contingency plan, including risk assessments and mitigation. And finally, the justification of the requested budget and cost effectiveness of the project. So I hope that this presentation will help you to submit a proposal in the framework of this jury call. So